Hello, and welcome back. My name is Kristen Anker, co-host of the Raising Minds podcast. So I just changed the name of my YouTube channel to Raising Minds podcast, coming soon to wherever you listen to a podcast. We just are beginning to record and edit, and we've recorded 6 episodes, but we're still in the learning process. So this is going to be a place where we might document a little bit of how 2 women in their 40s and 50s start a podcast and figure out how to launch it. It's super exciting, and I can't wait to share some of those things with you. But what I've been doing for, I guess the past 25 years is doing a lot of research, and I guess some on the job training, I guess, for the past 17 years of being a parent. So I always loved reading books about the brain. And this is one of the first books that I read, and I realized, like, oh my God, I'm so fascinated with brain development. And I think he wrote it well too. He's really funny. So I am going to talk about the 12 principles for surviving and thriving at work, home, and school by John Medina. So I will warn you, this book, which I do love books, and as you can see, I have all those things. It's copyright 2008, but it's all great research, and he's a neuroscientist, so his principles are pretty tried and true. And I just, like to take notes. So I'm going to kind of read to you some of the notes that I took. And he also summarizes really well. And he's funny, so I'm going to read one of them too, just the way that he wrote it. And then I summarized some of these. But let's get started. So number 1, you'll probably understand, and you know this, exercise. Exercise boosts brain power. So that's the number 1 brain rules by John Medina. And he says our brains were built for walking, actually 12 miles a day. And to improve your thinking skills, you gotta move. Exercise gets blood to your brain, bringing it glucose for energy, and oxygen to soak up the toxic electrons that are left over. It also stimulates the protein that keeps neurons connecting. And aerobic exercise, just twice a week, halves your risk of general dementia, and it cuts your risk of Alzheimer's by 60%. And one of the things that I go by is like 15 minutes a day. If you can get outside in nature, breathe, and get your heart rate going. That's all you need. Number 2, I'm going to read it right from the book. So again, these are all tips by John Medina, an amazing neuroscientist who wrote Brain Rules. Rule number 2, the human brain evolved 2. So we don't have 1 brain, we have 3 brains in our heads. We started with the lizard brain to keep us breathing, those autonomic bodily functions, heart rate and your breathing. And then you top it with the, it says brain like a cat's. And so it was like the amygdala, that freeze, fight, flight. There's another F word too. And then the third, the powerful human brain, which is the cortex, which is like that prefrontal cortex. And if you've been watching my videos, we always talk about the flipping of your lid. And we all know we can only be in that powerful state or the primal state. And this is when the prefrontal cortex is not working. But number 2, according to Dr. Medina, we took over the earth by adapting to change itself. After we were forced from the trees to the savanna when climate swings disrupted our food supply. So we're talking about the human brain. Going from 4 legs to 2 legs to walk onto the savanna freed up energy to develop a complex brain. And he has a lot of funny stories in that chapter about that. And then the 4th really important tip to understand is that symbolic reasoning is a uniquely human trait and talent. It may have arisen from our need to understand one another's intentions and motivations, allowing us to coordinate within a group. So we learned how to be working together as a group. We have that real need for that belonging. So the next one, 3, every brain is wired differently. What you do and learn in life physically changes what your brain looks like. It literally rewires it. So this is why experience is so important. And I always talk about the prepared environment, in schools and for young children. Experience, it physically changes the way your brain looks. The various regions of the brain develop at different rates in different people. No two people's brains store the same information in the same way, in the same places. We have a great number of ways of being intelligent, many of which don't show up on IQ tests. And that's why I love the work that I do. And we do a lot of emotional intelligence in school and emotional intelligence with teachers and teaching those really positive communication skills. So the next one, so this is 4, and you probably know this with your students, we don't pay attention to boring things. We just don't pay attention to boring things. The brain's attentional spotlight can focus on only one thing at a time, so no multitasking. I've heard this from many people. You can't multitask. You shouldn't multitask. We are better at seeing patterns and abstracting the meaning of an event than we are at recording detail. Emotional arousal helps the brain to learn feelings, emotions. Audiences check out after 10 minutes. And I think this is probably this is old, scientific research. I'm sure it's gotten, I think it's 3 minutes. I think it's less. But you can keep grabbing them back by telling a narrative story that brings in emotions. So this is kind of talking about being a leader. And so the next brain rule is repeat to remember. The brain has many types of memory systems. One type follows 4 stages of processing, encoding, storing, retrieving, and forgetting. Information coming into your brain is immediately split into fragments, and they're sent to different regions of the cortex for storage. Most of the events that predict whether something learned also will be remembered occurs in the first few seconds of learning. Those first few seconds are so important. The more elaborately we encode information at the moment of learning, the stronger the memory. You can improve your chances of remembering something if you reproduce the environment in which you first put it in your brain. I'm just going to keep going. Number 6, remember to repeat. So these are brain rules. These are ways to help your brain, principles for surviving and thriving at work, home, and school. Remember to repeat. Most memories disappear within minutes, but those that survive the fragile period strengthen with time. Long-term memories are formed in a 2-way conversation between the hippocampus and the cortex until the hippocampus breaks the connection and the memory is fixed in the cortex, which can take years. Our brains give us only an approximate view of reality because they mix new knowledge with past memories and store them together as one. And remember what it said before, no 2 brains are the same, and we all have different stories that we're saying in our head. The way to make long-term memory more reliable is to incorporate new information gradually and repeat it in timed intervals. Oh, I see that being really helpful for my high school students and college students. I'll say that one more time, and me. The way to make long-term memory more reliable is to incorporate new information gradually and Repeat it in timed intervals. Number 7, sleep well, think well. The brain is in a constant state of tension between cells and chemicals that try to put you to sleep and cells and chemicals that try to keep you awake. The neurons of your brain show vigorous rhythmical activity when you're asleep, perhaps replaying what you learned that day. This is very important. People vary in how much sleep they need and when they prefer to get it, but the biological drive for an afternoon nap is universal. He must have talked all about that. Maybe I'll bring that back. The last one here, loss of sleep hurts attention, executive function, working memory, mood, quantitative skills, logical reasoning, and even motor dexterity. So lack of sleep hurts all of that. Number 8, stressed brains don't learn the same way. Stressed brains don't learn the same way. Your body's defense system, the release of adrenaline and cortisol, is built for an immediate response to a serious but passing danger, such as a saber-toothed tiger. Chronic stress, such as hostility at home, dangerously deregulates a system built only to deal with short-term response. Whew. That was a lot. Under chronic stress, adrenaline creates scars in your blood vessels that can cause a heart attack or stroke, and cortisol damages the cells of the hippocampus, crippling your ability to learn and remember. That is very, very serious. So that is the 8th chapter in this book. If you have somebody that's highly stressed, that's can cause disease. We all know that can cause disease. Individually, the worst kind of stress is the feeling that you have no control over the problem. You feel helpless. That can be stressful. Emotional stress has huge impacts across society on children's ability to learn in school and on employees' productivity at work. Number 9, stimulate more of the senses at the same time. So this is all my Montessori teachers out there in those Montessori schools doing amazing work in education. We absorb information about an event through our senses, translate it into electrical signals, some for sight, others from sound, disperse those signals to separate parts of the brain, then reconstruct what happened, eventually perceiving an event as a whole. The brain seems to rely partly on the past experience in deciding how to combine these signals. So 2 people can perceive the same event very differently. We all know that. Our senses evolved to work together. Vision influencing hearing, for example, which means that we learn best if we stimulate several senses at the same time at once. Smells have an unusual power to bring back memories, maybe because smell signals bypass the thalamus and head straight to their destinations, which include that supervisor of the emotions known as the, who is it? The amygdala. Number 10, vision trumps all other senses. Vision is by far our most dominant sense, taking up half of our brain's resources. Interesting, Dr. Medina. What we see is only what our brain tells us we see, and that's not 100% accurate. The visual analysis we do has many steps. The retina assembles photons into little movie-like streams of information. The visual cortex processes these streams, some areas registering motion, others registering color, etc., Finally, we combine that information back together so we can see. I didn't realize. We learn and remember best through pictures, not through written or spoken words. And male and female's brains are different. Oh, good. That's the next one. I was like, I think I need more information about that. I highlighted it. That's the whole chapter. Chapter 11, male and female brains are different. You don't say. The X chromosome that males have one of and females have two of, though one acts as a backup, is a cognitive hotspot. Hotspots in quotes here. Carrying an unusually large percentage of genes involved in brain manufacture. Women are genetically more complex because the active X chromosomes in their cells are a mix of moms and dads. Men's X chromosomes all come from mom. And their Y chromosome carries less than 100 genes, compared with about 1,500 for the X chromosome. This is all news to me, so I'm not an expert in this, but this is fascinating. That's gonna be my next book to read about. I'm so fascinated about the difference between the male and the female brains. Okay, men's and women's brains are different structurally and biochemically. Men have a bigger amygdala and produce serotonin faster, for example, but we don't know if those differences have significance. Hopefully there's been more studies since 2008. I'll check with Dr. Medina. If you're interested, Dr. Medina, we are looking for experts to come on our podcast. So we want to get people like, these type of people to come and talk with us, people that can empower parents and teachers to raise minds. So men and women respond differently to acute stress. Women activate the left hemisphere's amygdala and remember the emotional details. And men use the right amygdala. And I don't know if this is me writing or Dr. Medina. They just get the gist. I just get the gist. We are obviously, I think it says we're much more complex. Obviously. Understand a little bit more. Emotionally. Last chapter. Let's move on. We are powerful and natural explorers. Babies are the model of how we learn. Not by passive reaction to the environment, but by active testing through observation, hypothesis, experiment, and conclusion. Specific parts of the brain allow this scientific approach. The right prefrontal cortex looks for errors in our hypothesis. The saber-toothed tiger is not harmless. And an adjoining region tells us to change behavior. Run. Get the hell out of there. We can recognize, and we talked about this a lot on my channel, we can recognize and imitate behavior because of mirror neurons scattered across the brain. This is a really important one, and then we are going to go. Some parts of our adult brains stay as malleable as a baby's. So we can create neurons and learn new things throughout our lives. I love that. So those were my notes from many years ago on my reading of John Medina's great work. I love this book. I will definitely do the second book because this is a good one too. And this was me when I loved reading. I still do love reading. But this one he wrote afterward in 2010, Brain Rules for Baby. So this is birth to 5. So I'll do a little synopsis of that. So that was only 20 minutes. You don't have to go read the book, or you do, or you can learn more about what he's researching. I loved this book. He's really funny. He's really funny. He has good stories to tell. Okay, so let me know if there's any books that I'll definitely be sharing more. And Dr. Sue and I will come on and next, and we'll talk a little bit about some of our first few podcasts that we're doing. And they're really coming along. Great. So, all right, have a great day. See ya.